Hey, Daryl.
B, Galen, what's happening?
Did I say A or hey?
I think you said A.
Oh, hey.
Anyway, here we are for podcast 3, I think. Gee, we're batting good. Yeah, speaking of batting, podcast 3, if you get 3 strikes, you're out. Yeah, do you sense a
Woo!
theme? Better quit while you're ahead. Well, if you're ahead, you win the game.
Yes, and then you're leading off with a great intro.
I am Daryl, and this is my friend Galen. We decided to talk about some summertime fun.
Hey, by the way, we are two guys, two states. Thanks
That's
for
right.
joining us.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Oh, that was to them. I gotcha.
Oh man.
But so what's new? What's exciting? What's on the podcast agenda?
Well, the season that just ended for my son, 14-year-old freshman in high school, is baseball. It just ended for that age group. Here we are in July. And so now we have the rest of the summer off from that, but there's always 1,000 other things to do. Yeah, you and I both have some really cool baseball stories. We've both played at certain levels, and we've even attended games of all levels. Yeah, let's have a little talk about it, I'd say, and see what your favorite part of the game is and some of the fun
Oh yeah, I
stories.
mean we could spend weeks on just baseball. Before we get into this, why don't baseball players join unions?
Oh no, some people follow you on TikTok, so they're gonna know this one.
uh, because they can't stand strikes.
Oh
All right, this is where
boy.
we need a rim shot and a cymbal.
Yes, sound effects, please. Oh,
But anyway, we're gonna move on from that.
okay.
But well, anyway, I'd like to hear a little bit about your son's activities in baseball or little league or whatever you call it out there in the Northwest.
Yes, I'm on the western side of the United States, and it's way, way different than anywhere else on the planet. Well, maybe not that. I mean, it's really pretty cool. What he ended playing was a high school summer league. So they traveled around and they had kids, 13 years old all the way up to 18. They had a couple of college bound players that were on other teams. This one team was really loaded, stacked, I think you'd say, of talent. And so they're beating our team, 22-0 in 3 innings. And then they find out, oh, everybody there is like adults. They're not even kids anymore. So anyway, it was frustrating, and at the same time, good experiences to be gracious losers, to work hard no matter what happens, work as a team, cheer for your team, all the benefits of group sports and teams, and as good as you can be yourself, get the right equipment, get the right everything. You just got to have you together best you can, show up, do your best, get better every week, every day, every game, and see what happens. And so my son's been a little bit of a slow pickup on some of the skills of baseball, but tell you what, he's got a good attitude and he's a great teammate to have, I would say. Encourages people and knows people and kind of knows his place on the team too, which is important. But
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
I was just thinking of like, what they ingrain, not everybody, but I remember my father-in-law telling me stories of his son because he used to coach and he was a good player, but for some reason the coach of the team, the head coach, would always pick these other favoritism type players. There's a lot of stories of that, with the parents heckling in the stands and this, that, and the other thing. So based on or what you just said about being a good teammate, and having good sportsmanship, he would talk, or his father would talk about how, he was a great pitcher, but he didn't get a lot of playing time because of the favoritism that went on. I don't want to spin
Mhm.
this negatively, but it's a true thing for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Like you said with your son, who he started out, and like you said, he kind of slow to go along the ways because there's some people that are naturally gifted, and then there's people who have to learn the skill.
Hmm.
And if you don't, if you haven't been brought up in it or naturally gifted, it takes time, and I can vouch for that for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a different perspective.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And so, like, for you playing, did you play uh like starting T-ball, like a little kid, you don't know which base to run to, and you hit your coach with the bat instead of the ball with the bat.
Yeah, no throwing the bat.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember a couple. I don't want to get into a lot of stories, but I mean, I could go on and on. I started late. I didn't start playing organized baseball, which would have been, little league. I didn't start playing till I was 10, 12 years old. I mean, I remember I was 12 years old. So if you started at the beginning, you would start in the farm league, and then you'd move to the National League, and then from the National League, go to the American League. And then you'd go to the other league, which was LIBL or Lansingburg Independent Baseball League. And that was where the 13-year-olds and up played, usually 13 to 16, unless, you were good enough, you'd go to like Sandy Koufax or Babe Ruth. But I remember my first year, I mean, one time during after we were like the Bad News Bears. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Walter Matthau.
Yeah, but I
Um,
remember the coach actually, he picks the ball up at one point and he goes, "All right, I want everybody to raise your hand. Who's afraid of this ball?" And we all looked around, and then finally some kid basically raised his hand, and then, like three, four of me, I was next, I think, because, I felt like I didn't want to lie about it, but ball hurts. That ball hurts if you get
Yeah.
hit with it. But that wasn't it. You had to learn how to overcome that fear. And so I just thought that's one thing that I remember. So that first year, I was 12 years old, and the way it was set up, if you were brought up in it, the farm, I was too old to play in farm. I'd be like the giant, I was
Hmm.
short. The American League was 12, 11, maybe 10-year-olds, but they were the kids who were playing since they were five. And so, because of my age, they had to put me in the national, which was like in the middle. Even though I was 12, I learned a lot. I was a fast runner, but I just didn't really know what I was doing. But then the following year, I moved over into the other league, and I do. It was just like, in a nutshell, I improved every year. I was a fast runner. Then my glove and my hitting got better. And if I had started at a younger age, who knows? I could have been a decent player.
Yeah.
But I remember my first year in that National League, I had 3 hits, and then the next 4 years in the Lansingburg Independent Baseball League, I went 1 hit first year, 8 hits the next year, then 14 in my third, and 23 in my last. And in that last year, me and the other 16-year-old player on the team, we had 50 hits total between the two of us. I had 23, he had 27. The rest of the team had 55 hits. It was
Wow.
so him and I together had 50. So we didn't
That's
we
really.
didn't but we won the championship in that third year. We went to it in the second year and lost. We had a rain delay. We only played 5 innings instead of seven. But the third year I played, we won the championship, and that was a big deal. It was a lot of fun, and it was just like, wow, this is getting very competitive, and I did enjoy myself because I became a better player. I knew what I was doing. We had a good team, and that makes a big difference too. Believe it or not, winning does solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. It covers a
So it was
multitude
fun.
of sins. It covers over all the errors or the not so good. If you win, you kind of get distracted by the win, and you don't have to deal with the
Yeah,
problems. Uh,
exactly right. Exactly
There
right.
really,
So
as we mapped out this episode of the podcast, I mean, there really are quite a few different ways you could go. I just think of all my early years of baseball and all that, and it really fed into me being ready and available to be on softball teams and co-ed and workplace softball and church league softball, all the things, because there was a point where I hit the wall, obviously, and was not good enough to continue with baseball. And that was somewhere in late high school for me. And I just realized, ooh, yeah, yeah, I'm not going to do much with baseball. I mean, I had some decent skills, I had some stuff, but then it transfers in your life to other sports and other outings, and you've already learned how to work as a team and play together and sign up and show up. And hold the bat with the right hand, and and,
Yeah,
and
that's key right there.
yes, very helpful. And not cuss out too many umpires. Not saying that I ever did, of course, but um,
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
well, it's funny because, here's an official trying to officiate, supposed to be balanced on, for both teams. And not only that, and a lot of times in the younger, the little league, you're having a kid, somebody 18 or younger, officiate that. Then that's when you get all the parents. Oh, I won't, I'm not going down this route, but you can get a lot of parents in the stands,
yes.
getting involved, but not in the right way. Not in the encouragement end anyway.
Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot we could say. Like we just keep saying that how much that we have that we could talk about. It is interesting that this article came out in the newspaper today about my son and one of the teams he was on this year and how they won the regional Babe Ruth tournament. You know, they won the whole thing, and it's great as a parent. You know all the story behind the scenes, and then it's interesting the people they interview. You know, they interviewed our local rep that handles our baseball here in our little rural area. I am way less than impressed on this guy, but he is willing to stand up and at least be the front person for the league. So, I got to give him kudos for that, and that he shows up and steps up when and where there was a need. It is funny some of that are said in the newspaper that's like, well, that's not at all true because I was at that game, or pretty cool. Yeah, you're right. That was a good point, or whatever. So, it's just what makes it to press. What's really happening on a baseball team or in a league or whatever. And here again, that brings up a bunch of different stories for me too. But yeah, we'll just keep navigating this idea of baseball and our personal experiences with the game, you know.
Yeah. No, that's true. One of three sports, well, in my high school years that were most popular, the other one being basketball and football. Nowadays, I mean, you've got sport for everybody, male and female. Soccer and lacrosse, they're huge in our area.
Yeah.
And
Wrestling.
yeah, they weren't, wrestling was decent. When I was growing up, primarily it was baseball and football and basketball, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Now we even get hockey teams.
Oh, I
So,
know. Yeah.
exactly, but
Hockey teams, all the stuff. Yep, yep. There's just a bunch of options, and I think that's pretty cool to me because not everybody is the all-star football guy or the best pitcher that we've ever seen. So there are some other places for some kids and some athletes to go, and then you've got all the different clubs and activities and theater and music, all of that. When you're a youth, when you're 18 years old or younger, try it all. I mean, try on a pair of football cleats and pads, or throw a ball and catch it in a mitt. And
yeah, or a helmet.
yeah,
Try
put
that
them
helmet
on.
on if you get
Yes,
an opportunity to do it. I remember listening to sports radio at one point, and I wish I could remember the name of the player who was like first time I put on an NFL helmet, and he was just in awe because he put that logo on his head and knew he was going to be a member of that team, and he was just talking about that experience of just that excitement that he had. He played years of college, but there's nothing like getting to the top. Whatever
yes.
helmet the team that he was on. But I got to imagine that's pretty neat. Putting a helmet on versus a ball cap. Do you have a favorite Major League Baseball team?
Oh man, see, because I know where you are. You're in the state of the New York Yankees.
Of
So,
course, and I'm going
yeah,
to assume you like the Seattle Mariners.
well, I love them now, but when I was a kid, I mean, I wanted to be a Yankee so bad. I mean,
Really?
I grew up on a dirt farm, and so I didn't know baseball from left field from center field from nothing. I just didn't know
From the
nothing
cornfield
from the cornfield.
or the
But
hayfield or,
that's right. And so obviously the Yankees were big in the 70s and almost every decade since they've been around.
yeah, they haven't done well, but they've always had
Big
sometimes
names
people,
or.
Yeah, people will argue that, they bought a lot of teams because of the owners, George Steinbrenner and all that back in the day, but
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
they were my people.
I didn't know
But-
that. That's
And
interesting.
yeah, and I collected baseball cards. I don't know if you got into that. I have almost every team. If it's the 70s and part of the 80s, I have a lot of cards, maybe a couple thousand. So that's actually not that much if you're a real collector, but for a little kid like me, I mean that was great.
You still have them?
I do. I have,
Oh, that would
yeah.
be a great, great adventure just to go through some of
Yes.
those cards.
I've done.
I didn't collect baseball cards as much as I did football cards,
Mm.
but I do know that there was a lot of cards that went round and round in my bicycle spokes. I wish I could have
Yeah.
those days back. I remember
Yeah.
Roger Staubach, although he's
Oh,
football, I remember him going round and round, and I'm like, oh boy.
is he getting dizzy yet?
Yeah, well, I think he's a little torn up. The numbers have faded.
Well, now you're talking about my team with football when I was a kid, but I've learned better on that one too. So
Yeah, really. Well, the reason I asked what your favorite team was because I have two quick stories if we have time.
yeah.
As far as New York Yankee trips. First one being I was young. I don't even remember how old I would. I might have been 10, might have been 8. So my uncle was invited by one of his friends that he worked with and his son. He decided to ask me, and we went down, just the four of us. We're in the old-fashioned station wagons. You remember those,
Oh yeah.
where you sit backwards and you're looking out the back? Well, I don't remember the trip because I didn't know his friend that well. I know his name was Jimmy, and
Oh
his
no.
son but these guys were drinkers back in the 70s, and I don't know how the heck we got down there, but we got there, and I was at one, but on the trip down, maybe I shouldn't say this on this podcast, but on the trip down, I felt like a bartender, like passing. I'm
Oh,
8 years old, 10 years old, or whatever, and he's like putting these little drinks together, and meanwhile I'm looking out the back, facing the cars behind me, and I
oh,
felt like if I had known anything, I would have gotten tips out the back window.
oh my gosh, that's
So we
funny.
get there, and I am in awe. I'm at Yankee Stadium. I'm just like everything baseball at that point, and the
Yes.
70s, the 70s baseball was phenomenal. So we get there, and the Yankees are down. I remember this specifically. They're running to the restroom because we're leaving in the eighth inning and they want to beat traffic. And I remember standing in one of the corridors where you can see the field, and I don't want to get lost or anything. And, because this is all new to me, and they're in the restroom getting ready to go. And I keep running back you could see the field from one of these little open ways, between stairs. And I don't remember exactly all the details, but it's like the bottom of the eighth now or the top of the ninth, and we're leaving. And I'm just like, oh, in my gut, I'm like, they're down 4-2. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I want to stay. I want to watch them win. I want to watch them win, And here's this little kid who's got all this hope and all of this stuff. So we get on the road. I'm like, all right, back to bartender school. No, I
I
don't
just
know.
want to check. So that was alcohol? They were having you mix alcohol drinks for the
I
driver.
guess that's all I remember because, I don't know.
Oh
It
man.
wasn't beer. Like, well, I don't know if it was entirely the driver. I don't really recall, but I just remember that there was
Yeah.
some stuff in there and they had the little clear plastic cups with ice. And he was telling,
Oh
I just remember him telling me how to put it together.
man. Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
beautiful.
would you like a lime with this? What
Yeah.
is it? I don't even know what it is.
Oh,
So,
shaken, not stirred, please.
oh God, yeah, shaking. It was spilled all over the place. You
Oh,
guys are the one. I'm the one that smells like a bartender.
yeah.
But I mean, that was
Oh.
part of the story, and I remember getting a pennant. But I guess that was the highlight of it. But to finish the story really quick, we're on our way home, and I can't remember if it was on the radio and we were listening to it, or if I didn't find out till I got home, through the news. We didn't have immediate news like we do nowadays. But I remember Oscar Gamble comes up with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and what do you think happens?
Mm.
They're down 4-2, and there's two men on, and
Oh.
doesn't he hit a 3-run homer?
Oh,
and the Yankees win 5-4, and I was excited they won, but I was just there. I was there, and oh my gosh, I was like heartbroken, you
yes.
know. So,
You hate to
um,
miss that kind of thing. Oh,
yeah, it was disappointing for that fact because it was my first adventure. But I mean, I understand nowadays as an adult, traffic down there is just a nightmare.
oh,
And I could see everybody trying to leave early and they were losing and they don't have much hope. But I guess for me, as a little kid, 10 years old, I don't really recall, but it was exciting. And the second story I had wasn't, maybe 10, 15 years ago, a group of six of us, one mom and a son, and then the rest of us we all went to the church together and our sons went down. So there were six of us and we went down for the Yankees. It was supposed to be a double header. And I'm like, this is cool. We got tickets, somebody who had season passes. Find out there's only like 20,000 people in the stadium. The weather was great this day, but it wasn't for the Tampa Bay Rays. They could barely get there because there was hurricane season and there was a hurricane in Florida and they could barely get out.
oh,
And it was supposed to be a 1 o'clock doubleheader. We're all excited. Well, next the doubleheader ended up being a single, and then it ended up being instead of starting at 1 o'clock, it didn't start till like 6 o'clock. So we were there all day just waiting for the team to arrive. Well, they got there, but in the meantime, I don't remember much about the game, but I remember Yankee Stadium allowed everybody at the places where you get food. We ate a lot of hot dogs because we could get the food free.
oh my goodness.
We had,
Oh,
it was just hot dogs and drinks, like hot dogs and water or maybe a soda. That was an exciting event because we also spent a lot of time. I don't remember the name of the place where you could go down and see all the historic stuff of Yankee Stadium. Now, this is the old one. It wasn't the new stadium. I've never been to that one yet. I do plan on going sometime soon, but yeah, those are my major league stories.
it's good stuff. It is the all-American sport, where it touches everybody's life in some way. If it seems like so, yeah, we all have that story. I remember, my parents were divorced by the time I was 7, and my dad was remarried and living in South Lake Tahoe. And my sister and I they asked if we could come down and stay for 2 weeks. Well, that would have been the summer, maybe 78. I'm just guessing. I could probably look this up now with the internet and all that, but so we went down and stayed and were there for 2 weeks. I mean, just a bunch of cool stories there too. But one of the things we did was drive over to San Francisco and see the sights and San Jose and there's parts of that Northern California area. And oh man, the Giants are hosting the New York Mets. We're okay. We're going. We're going. And my dad's new wife didn't like baseball, and my sister didn't really like baseball, but they found a good place in the shade and hid out in the third deck or wherever, somewhere under shade. And my dad and I go as far down as we could, probably cheating on our tickets, I'm guessing. But anyway, it didn't matter. It was just a great day, and here's a kid that didn't get to grow up with his dad, but my first Major League Baseball experience was with my dad in San Francisco, playing the Mets. And of course, I was a Yankees fan, so anything from New York was my favorite. And the Mets did win 3-0. I do remember that. And so I might not remember a lot of that trip, but yeah, those Mets, they came out and punched the Giants, at least for that one game. And of course, I didn't really follow baseball, so I have no idea how those teams did. And in those seasons, at least for that one game, it was pretty good. And I can't imagine what the ticket prices would be either back then compared to now. They're probably $2 or $3 each back then, and probably $30 is the least expensive ticket now. But anyway, yeah, that'd be something to look up one of these times, is the ticket prices. But anyway, well, yeah, that was my first major league game. I've taken in quite a few since then. I've never been to Yankee Stadium, although I've been to Wrigley Field in Chicago and was able to be there when it turned 100 in 2014, and that was awesome. Pizza and beverage in hand, and sitting on the first base side. And I'm not a Wrigley Field storyteller, but you do hear those guys just, those Chicago guys brag about that one, and just what that field has meant to them for over 100 years. So,
Oh, sure. But did you ever
yeah.
see the one in St. Louis when you used to go there from
Oh,
Greenville?
oh, good point. I never did see the Cardinals play live. I don't know why. Wow, that's a good question. Why I would have never gone in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of stadiums, whether baseball or football, just driving through the city. The one that I think of the most would be like Buffalo or Cleveland. I've been to
Oh,
Pittsburgh, but that's football. But I did see PNC Park in Pittsburgh. We walked by it. It's just like a big building on the outside. It looks like a department store, and then you walk in, it's like, oh wow, this is cool.
yeah.
That's neat. Baseball is, like America's pastime, and it's just been, people say it should be the NFL, but I don't know the reasons why it should be because I guess just NFL is just a more dominant league right now.
I think
But do
where
you
the
does
money is football. It seems like most of the money, the advertising, the not to mention salaries and teams and flying all over and their gear and everything. It's just expensive.
this is true?
Yeah. And
Do any movies come to mind
Oh,
for you?
brother. Yeah, I mean, we got, you just have, I mean, when it's something this dominant in our culture, there's songs that come to mind. There's, all the slapstick comedy. I think you and I were talking earlier about who's on first.
Yeah, that's one I was thinking of actually, and it's like who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. And then Costello's like, well, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, it doesn't get much better than some of that.
No, that's a classic.
Talk people into circles, until they're just so frustrated. That's what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, that's a
other
great
movies,
comedy.
I mean, I don't know. The Natural. Ooh, we watched recently Babe Ruth, the Babe Ruth story with John Goodman, and that was interesting. I mean, as many stories around the world and different famous people, you end up hearing about a really troubled childhood or some really rough days of life that they've lived, either from their parents or by their own bad choices. And he had a lot of rejection from his parents. And anyway, but once he found something he could do well, oh, if I do connect with that ball, it sails. It goes to the moon practically.
Yeah.
So the right people at the right time see that, and you become a big name and become famous and get to be really good. And so
Yeah,
there,
it's amazing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just for some reason I was little, I don't know. Nowadays it's probably a little different, but when I was young I didn't like to read. But I somehow recalled the first book I ever received. I think it was even for like Christmas. My mother wrapped up a book called Cellar Team, and it was
Huh.
about a baseball team. Cellar, they're probably, I don't remember it at all,
Oh,
but I'm going to assume it was, a team that had to climb out. But one of the biggest baseball movies that I actually could relate to was the Bad News Bears.
yeah.
And I loved that movie. And, well, all the sequels, I didn't care who it was. And even remember The Sandlot?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
The Smalls.
I think I love some of those because I related to the fear that those kids. Oh man, I hope they don't hit the ball to me. I'm not sure I can catch it. Or I
Or to
hope
the
I.
dog.
Yeah. Oh man, or I hope I can get a hit. And be the guy that saves the day. And I wasn't a super good hitter. I had a good on base percentage if I remember right because I knew how to get to first, but I didn't know how to hit the big home run. I never really
But
was a power hitter.
you know how to get to first because you squatted. You squatted to get walked.
That's
You were that guy, right?
I usually leaned my head in to get beamed.
Clunk.
Clonk,
Uh,
take your bait.
yeah. I'm just I just wanted to reiterate some of the movies before we wrap it up here. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just fun. I mean, we could go on for hours, if not days, but
I know.
The Sandlot, Bad News Bears, 42, the Jackie Robinson story. I didn't see it in its
Ooh,
entirety. That changed baseball.
it really did.
Major League, League of Their Own, Field of Dreams. And anybody I think that does get into major sports, it's got to be a dream. It's got to be a dream come true. Just to work at it and to, have some certain things fall in certain ways that, it just keeps opening doors. I mean, you got to be good. You got to be exceptional. Even
Yeah.
the even the non-exceptional or star players in any of the leagues, they're there because they are better than the average.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And all the guys that almost made it or made it for a while, whatever reason takes them out sometimes. There's things that take us out of whatever we're doing in life, injuries, mental, emotional, all the different things. We loved the rookie too. Yeah, I mean, Dennis Quaid, and that was a good
hmm
one. Yeah. So, and you mentioned most of the other ones I would have thought of too.
I think there's one about Bull Durham.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think so.
I don't know much
Um,
about it.
I don't either. I don't
Yeah.
either. I just kind of remember just names and
Here's an
just
oldie. Ooh, somebody out there might know this one. Way old. It happens every spring, and it was kind of, and a guy recommended it to me 20 years ago, and I hurried right down and went out to rent it, and it was 15 years later. But anyway,
right.
I hurried right down there. It's kind of like Flubber, the old Flubber movie
With
mixed
Robin Williams.
Yeah, mixed with like the Three Stooges, mixed with real baseball, mixed with I mean, it's just really because it's college baseball. Chemistry professor then has to invents this, and I can't remember. Does the ball? It either bounces really good or it sticks to their bat and they're always out, or I there's something that happens with the ball based on the chemistry of it. And this team just comes from zero to, winning thousands of games and all that stuff. So, and it
Happily
wasn't,
ever after.
yeah, it was not as good as, as this guy had told me. So waiting 15 years to find it was okay. Ah, but anyway,
Funny stuff.
yeah.
Well, Galen,
Hey,
good talking. Good
yeah.
running down memory lane here.
Yes, very good for me too. Thank you, Daryl, for your time, and you're amazing.
It's that we are. Everybody's amazing.
Yes.
All right, I guess until next time, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about at this point, but
It's
I
going to be
look
great.
forward.
Yes.